So, what if FromSoft took its Souls-like genre and married it with hero shooter and roguelike mechanics? Well, you get Elden Ring Nightreign. Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Los Angel of Havoc here, aka Leitato, the one and only High Priest of the congregation. Welcome back to another installment of Leitato Clips, where we've got a little bit of everything. Now, first off, I want to give a huge shout out to the homie Joe Pa Wrights. He had an extra code for the Elden Ring Nightreign network test and was gracious enough to bless me with it, so I had a chance to try it out for myself. Joe Pa actually covers a variety of content as well, and I definitely recommend you guys check out his channel. To that point, I'm actually linking it in the description of this video, so be sure to go show my homie some love. Now, moving on to the network test itself, I really didn't know what to expect. I understood the basic rundown from different information that's been covered by other creators, but I'm sure you can understand that the conversation changes a lot once you get your hands on the product for yourself. Now, one more minor note before we get started. I was not able to capture footage, unfortunately, for this video. I play on PS5, and the capture direct from console feature was not available while doing the network test. But that being said, a lot of the footage in this video will instead be from basic Elden Ring gameplay, along with the trailers and photos of what I could find. Now, let's talk about Nightreign itself. The gameplay loop is very straightforward. You choose from a roster of different heroes and set out on an expedition. Teams are made up of 3 players. The game does matchmake, and that was the extent of what was doable during the test. I imagine the multiplayer aspect of the game will be more fully fleshed out at the time of launch, so players can also join up together. But it's also good to know that the game will have matchmaking as well, just for players that may not have a regular group to play with. A complete expedition run takes place over the course of 3 in-game days, which I think works out to about 30 to 35 minutes or so. The first 2 days consist of exploration and looting while taking out enemies. The exceptional thing right off the bat that players will likely notice first is that there is no fall damage whatsoever. There's also a new mantling feature that allows you to vault up small walls or rock faces, and this addition to the formula feeds into the quick pace that you'll find yourself going, especially when the rain begins to close in. You'll want to be fast and intentional, especially when looking for weapons and equipment that suit your build. Items come in handy as well, with the caveat that you can only carry up to 4 at a time. There's no equipment load either, and different weapons and shields have passive traits that apply as long as it's in your inventory. So it's actually a good thing to pick up as many as you can as you go along. You'll also want to make sure that you're leveling up anytime you encounter a site of grace and have the runes to do so, as it can make all the difference in your run, especially during the later encounters. I should also mention that certain weapons and shields can only be used if you're at the appropriate level to do so. The final day of an expedition consists of fighting the Night Lord, which, as with other encounters, will be random. I believe the final game will have 8 different Night Lords, but only 1 was featured in the network test. You will get 1 final site of grace and upgrade anvil in case you've passed any merchants and picked up smithing stones, and the fight itself will start once your team has gathered at the gate. The battle with the Night Lord will certainly put you through the test, and it is a very thrilling experience to say the least. I thought it was a great capstone to what was already a challenging adventure up until that point. Now, another unique feature that Nightreign has is its revival mechanic. When you or a teammate falls, there will be a small health bar that appears above you, and you have to deal damage to that health bar to complete the revival. The first time someone falls, it'll be just 1 health bar, but it gets bigger the more times you die, all the way up to 3 full bars that you have to take out to get your teammates back up. And if everyone should fall during the final boss encounter on any particular day, that will end the run, and you'll return to the round table hole to set off on a new expedition. Now, moving on, let's discuss the characters. There were 4 playable Nightfarers available to choose from in the network tests. The full game, I believe, will have 8 in total. Each character has a passive trait, a character skill, and an ultimate ability. Skills and ultimates do have cooldowns that will be visible on the screen at all times. You have Wilder, who is described as easy to handle and challenging the master with well-balanced abilities. His passive trait allows players to cheat death once. His character skill shoots a grappling hook that can pull weaker enemies towards you or break their posture, and it can also bring you closer to stronger enemies and or bosses. His explosive onslaught stake ultimate art does a ton of damage with explosion, and it also comes in handy against more powerful enemies. Guardian is the tank of the bunch. He does heavy damage and easily breaks enemy posture. Guardian's passive trait provides very strong resistance when guarding with your shield. His Whirlwind character skill casts a powerful wind attack that can launch enemies up and also interrupt others mid-attack. His ultimate art, Wings of Salvation, has him flying up into the air and crashing back down to raise a protective area to fortify allies, while also delivering a good amount of damage as well. It's especially great for breaking up groups. Next up, we have Duchess, who's all about agility and speed. Her passive trait allows players to dodge more frequently, and her character skill Restage allows her to repeat a small sequence of damage dealt to an enemy. Her ultimate art, Finale, cloaks the player and their allies, making them undetectable. Now, this can be especially useful to set up sneak attacks or hide from bosses, even to pull off a res. It can especially come in handy during the final encounter against the Night Lord, which I actually had personal experience. Like, my first time getting to the Night Lord, we had a player that had Duchess, and she was making us invisible every chance she got, and I'm pretty sure that's how we pulled off the win. So, shout out to them. And finally, we have Recluse, who is a spellcaster and is perfect for ranged players, albeit, from what I gathered, she is perhaps one of the most complex characters to play thus far. Her passive ability allows players to replenish their mana by collecting affinity residues, which are left behind when a teammate or enemies are afflicted by any given element. This trait actually feeds into her magic cocktail skill, whereby collecting affinity residues can launch an affinity exploiting magic attack based on the affinities collected. Recluse's ultimate art is called the Soul Blood Song, and it unleashes a powerful forbidden chant that afflicts enemies with blood sigils, and attacking these marked enemies will restore health and mana. While it has a limited range and lasts for only 10 seconds, it is still a great support ultimate. The Roundtable Hold makes its triumphant return in Nightreign, and it acts as the player hub. While in the Roundtable Hold, players can launch expeditions, you can choose your character you want to play as beforehand and even try them out in the sparring grounds. Players can also equip relics in the Roundtable Hold through relic rights. Relics provide random gameplay benefits that can be generalized or character specific. I also realized that only certain relics can be equipped to different characters. I'm not sure if that's actually sticking around for the full game or if that's something that will change at launch, but we'll just have to wait and see. And lastly, there is a visual codex area in the Roundtable Hold as well that allows players to look up different game data and information. Now, I'm sure there's going to be a lot more to unpack and discuss at launch. For now, I'd like to wrap up everything with my thoughts and feelings about the network test as a whole and my hopes for launch. There is a lot of potential for Nightreign to be a success. What I think that hinges on is how the replay value feels once the full game launches and we get a chance to grasp the entire scope of what's offered. I imagine expeditions will have similarities, but I am actually very much looking forward to different locales and bosses that I've seen teased in the trailers, but didn't actually experience in the network tests. The return of bosses, not just from Elden Ring, but from other Souls games as well, also provides a unique feature within itself, as it tugs on the strings of nostalgia while simultaneously allowing the multiplayer aspect to give a fresh take on these encounters. That said, the thought is not lost on me that we could be haphazardly exploring an area and then hear,
I am Melania, Blade of Mikola.
in which case, I'm probably just going to need a moment for prayer. Jokes aside, though, I'm very much looking forward to picking up the full game when it launches. Elden Ring Nightreign is available now for pre-order and will release in full on May 30th, 2025. And with that, my friends, we have reached the end of this installment of Laytato Clips. If you enjoyed the video or found it helpful in any way, please do me a solid and give it a thumbs up. It might seem like a little bit, but it does go a long way in terms of helping the channel grow. And if you want to see more, just be sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next video. Once again, my name is Lost Angel of Havoc. Thank you for watching. We will see you next time, friends. Same late time, same late channel.